It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back. You're tuned into Expresso on a beautiful Friday morning. Now, this really does strike a chord with me. With climate change affecting all of us, governments, companies, NGOs across the globe are racing to find solutions to some of our biggest problems. And one organization thinks they've found a solution to one of the biggest issues facing us, carbon dioxide emissions. Now, the company has an ambitious plan to take carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere and turn it into fuel. How? Well, they've essentially designed a giant wind wall which sucks carbon dioxide out of the air and then converts the CO2 into fuel, thereby recycling the environment pollutants. Now, air flows in through the series of fans which feed into a carbon dioxide-rich solution, helping pluck carbon compounds from the air, at which point they extract the carbon dioxide for reuse or disposal in underground facilities. The solution is repurified in the process, enabling it to be reused. Now, the technology is based on the same way that trees capture CO2 and release oxygen. It's another take on the idea of an artificial tree. So with us on the line now, we're joined by the director of the UCT Energy Research Centre, Professor Harold Winkler. Professor, very good morning to you.
Morning, Graham.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. This, I think, obviously does present almost a miracle cure to a problem that is now very serious. We know that sea levels could rise by at least 10 feet in the next 50 years if nothing is done to stem the tide. What are your thoughts on this method of removing CO2 from the air? Could it be an effective solution in helping to reverse climate change?
Well, I think the most important thing is actually that we stop putting CO2 into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
That's the most important challenge. But this is interesting. I think it's on the edge. It's a new technology. It's not yet proven. It's not entirely clear exactly how they would do it. And some of the questions that arise for someone like me is how much energy would you not need to run this wind wall?
So where does South Africa stand when it comes to carbon capture and green energy? Does more need to be done in our own country to reverse climate change? I know you've spoken about a change in culture in the way that we see CO2 emissions, but are we doing enough in South Africa?
We are certainly researching carbon capture and storage. Now, that's usually done at power plants or at Sasol, where, in fact, the CO2 is much more concentrated than this technology, the giant wind wall. But what we really need to look at, we need to do a lot more on using energy more efficiently, and particularly on renewable energy. And we are seeing massive growth in that already, big private investment, but we need a whole lot more of that.
Yep, we need the private sector to get behind it. Professor, thank you so much. I'm sure we'll be chatting to you again soon, and hopefully this is at least a right step in the right direction. But thank you so much for joining us. Have a fantastic weekend.
Thank you, Graham.